Our final guest tonight, his debut novel, Onward Toward What We're Going Toward, was released in August 2013 by IG Publishing. His short fiction has appeared in the Greensboro Review, the Sycamore Review, Opium, Phoebe, a Journal of Arts and Letters, and Sweet Fancy Moses. He has published nonfiction and other miscellanea in The Believer, Time Out Chicago, Gadfly, and more. He is currently the Dean of General Education at Kendall College in Chicago and has been a member of the Gotham Writers Workshop faculty since 2005. You can find him online at ryanbartelmay.com, and you can clap right now for Ryan Bartelmay.
Thank you. This is actually my second time at Tuesday Funk. The last time was when I published my book, Onward Towards What We're Going Towards. And you actually can't find my website anymore because some guy in Indonesia owns my website. Yeah. So for tonight, I actually wrote a new story. I actually haven't really written since I published Onward Towards What We're Going Towards because I have two very young kids at home. So I don't get a whole lot of sleep, nor do I have a lot of time to do this. But thank you to Eden and Andrew for having me back and forcing me to write this story, which was a lot of fun. Trying to figure out where I want to hold this thing here. All right, so I started this story thinking about some teenagers standing in a frozen field in central Illinois. And I also had this line in my head, "The world is a verb." Although I could not get that line into the story, but that's how it started. It's called For a Good Time. The guy, Ted, I think his name was Ted. Maybe it was Fred. Ted, Fred, none of it really matters. Although it does, probably, if you're the guy. Names matter, of course. We, and by we I mean Tony, who we called Blaze, and Chad, dialed the number scratched into the urinal partition. This was a long time ago, like 25 years ago, and so much has changed. And I don't just mean that I got older. Ted, Fred, whatever his name was, pulled over to the side of the road, and after we hopped out of his pickup, he rolled down his window and told us to wait here. And what? Blaze said. It was cold as hell. Hands stuffed in our coat pockets, middle of winter as it was. February probably, and our breasts were like puffy clouds. Fred, Ted, or whatever, was smiling this big, goofy grin, like he was about to buckle us into a carnival ride that was going to spin us around and around and upside down. Look for the northern lights, he said, and he drove off, his taillights red and getting smaller until they were gone. So we're standing out in the middle of the cornfield, middle of winter, like I said, and gawking up at the sky. And we're the three of us turning these slow circles as we're looking up. It was a beautiful night, one of those cold, sharp, dark nights where the stars looked like glowing nail heads holding the blackness in place. Like someone took a hammer and just started nailing the fuck out of everything. I've done that. Just took a hammer out in the garage, just took the hammer and started banging it all over hell and back and on the workbench, the car, the cabinets I hung with my buddy Tommy, best man at my wedding. Just bang the shit out of everything to, you know, as my old man used to say, blow off some steam. Then Ted or Fred or whatever his name was pulled over to the side of the road in his pickup, yelled out his window at us. I'd been so absorbed in the sky, the stars, the nail heads, I didn't hear him pull up. Blaze and Chad were walking across the frozen field toward him. Then we were laying in the pickup bed again, going up and down, little rises in the road, and I remember thinking about my mom because around this time, early 1990s, I was out looking for a good time because there weren't many good times to be had at home. Not that I was really aware of what was motivating me to do the things I was doing. At 17, you're aware so little. Hindsight is 20/20, as they say. Fred or Ted or whatever pulled the truck over to the side of the road again, and we sat up to see where we were, to see if this was the good time. And Fred or Ted hollered, "Hop out!" We were in front of a farmhouse, big white thing with a barn behind it, grain silos, the works, even a pickup truck, and the gravel drive. Up there, he said. Go on. Motioned with his chin, smiled the same carnival ride smile. Then he pulled away and we watched the taillights, then looked at each other. Let's check it out, Blaze said. Check what out, I said. The house. Blaze walked up the gravel drive and Chad followed him, his hands stuffed in his hoodie pockets. On the porch, we looked in the window into the living room. There was a television on and a guy wearing a wife beater and boxer shorts was asleep on the couch. A couple empty beer cans and a food-stained plate on the coffee table in front of him. The television glow gave the room an extraterrestrial type of look. Blue and green pops of light. Blaze tried the front knob. What are you doing, I said. A good time, he said. But the door was locked. We went around back. There was a kid's wagon, a rusted-out swing set, some other kids' toys, beach buckets, Tonka trucks, shit the adult me knows too much about, and a sun-warped picnic table. The house windows were dark and too far off the ground for us to look into, just standing in the grass, but Blaze had Chad boost him up. When he came back down, he said there wasn't anything to see, just the kitchen. He tried the back door and it was open. What are we doing, Blaze? I said. Looking for a good time. He slipped into the dark. Chad looked at me, smiled, and followed after him. I knew this wasn't a good idea, but I followed him into the house and through the linoleum kitchen. Blaze was in the middle of the living room looking at the guy sleeping on the couch. There was a baby gate blocking the bottom of the stairs, and on the chair next to the couch was a cat, curled and sleeping. Blaze picked up a beer can from the coffee table, shook it to show that it was empty. Chad made a noise and pointed out the window. Ted or Fred or whatever his name was pulled his pickup in front of the house and killed the headlights. We tiptoed back to the kitchen. Blaze stopped, opened the fridge and grabbed 3 beers. Threw one to me, one to Chad, grabbed 3 more. Then we were out the back door and running across the lawn. The night went on like that. Ted or Fred pulling over in front of farmhouses and the 3 of us hopping out of the pickup and running across the lawns. We boosted each other up and peeped in on people sleeping in beds, empty kitchens with clocks ticking on walls. We found a lot of open back doors and we jimmied a few windows. Mostly, we took little things. Framed photographs, cans of beer, Tupperwares of leftovers, a taxidermy largemouth bass, a figurine of an angel, a rubber band ball in a junk drawer, a woman's hairbrush. Things people might not immediately notice are gone, but in time, they'll look for the figurine of the angel, go to the shelf in the living room where the figurine once sat, and find it not there. Everything at some point is eventually not there, which, I guess, to some degree, was the point. There was a point, which at the time, there wasn't, of course. Just some kids looking for a good time, trying to escape whatever we're trying to escape, which is what having a good time is all about, if you think about it. We're ontological bandits or something, I guess. I haven't thought about ontology since I tried my hand at college. At one point, I hung back by the truck while Blaze and Chad set off across another lawn. We were getting closer to town. Its glow just over the horizon beyond the flat in frozen Illinois. Farm fields. Ted or Fred or whatever his name was rolled down his window. I could barely hear the radio. Something jazzy I remember, which didn't really fit. Not that I was judging, but he looked like someone who listened to music with distorted guitars. He had a ponytail. He asked me if I wasn't going with my friends. I kind of shrugged and mumbled something about being tired of the whole thing, which wasn't true. The truth was, I had some questions about him, for him. I wanted to know why. What was he doing out here with us? Why did he pick us up? It wasn't even his number, he said, or it had been someone else's number, and then it was his. I think about that moment before we called him. His moment, I mean. He's sitting on the couch, watching other people's fictional lives on the television, distracting himself from something, whatever it was, unpaid bills or job stress, or his wife in the kitchen building an icy wall of resentment against him, or a 16-year-old daughter off doing whatever she was doing, who the hell knows. But then the phone rang. We were supposed to be calling someone else. Or, said another way, someone had scratched someone else's number, not Fred or Ted's number, into a urinal partition, intending to, I don't know, inflict some sort of hurt on that person who had the number before Ted or Fred. And Ted or Fred answered the phone, and we were on the other end of the line, looking for a good time. At the end of the night, Fred, or Ted, dropped us at this truck stop. We're in high school. I spent too many nights playing pinball and eating biscuits and gravy and talking about how I was going to get out of that small town as soon as I was old enough, which I eventually did, since I believed the town and my youth were what was holding me back. In the days after that night, I didn't give much thought to him. He was just the driver in the story. But as I got some years on the night, I started thinking, meaning I tried to understand what he was doing out there with us. For that first hour or so, he drove us around, telling us he was taking us to this good time. Finally, we figured it out. This was the good time. Our good time. His good time. But what caused him to do it? I mean, he drove us around for 6 or 7 hours, and we had all this shit from all these houses in the bed of his pickup. If we'd been pulled over by the cops, anyway, like I said, I think about it. I think about it a lot, actually, especially lately. It must have been about my age now, I mean. And I often think, or find myself thinking as I'm, in the garage, out in the garage, trying to distract myself, a song with electric guitars on the radio. And as I'm standing there, I get to thinking about Ted, or Fred, whatever his name was. And as I'm thinking back on that night, I think if the phone rang, my phone, and on the other end of it were some kids laughing and snickering and standing there looking for a good time, I'd have to tell them what Ted or Fred or whatever his name was told me while Blaze and Chad tiptoed through someone's dark house. And he sat in the cab of his pickup, smiling, that carnival ride smile, just before I turned away from him to head into the house to look for my own good time. I'd have to say to the kids on the other end of the phone, I hope you find what you're looking for. Thank you.